Well, it's nice to catch up with you. I'm glad Snowfest went well. But it is almost springtime. We've officially entered March. And springtime means spring practice. These college
Yes.
football teams are coming back. We saw who won the championship. Indiana. It was unexpected. No one saw it coming. Their quarterback Mendoza is going to be the obvious number one pick now in the draft. And what a cool kid, man. Every interview this guy does. Perfection.
Yeah,
Perfection.
it
I
is.
wish I wish the Browns were going to get this guy, but they're not. He's going to the Raiders. Fair enough. He's going to have Tom Brady as a mentor there. It's going to be nuts. Raiders are looking like they might be in good shape for the future. But to bring this back to college football, I mentioned it there, spring practice. I want to zero in on Texas in particular and your experience, Priest, because we have a very special guest joining us later on the show who has now become a college coach. His name is Eddie George, but now we call him Coach Eddie George. So
That's
sit
right.
tight for that. But for you, Priest, and Texas and spring practice, it's interesting because you have this championship game, right? It happens in the winter, essentially, and the kids are going to school, and then the new football season essentially starts in that same school year. So, like, what's the mindset? What is spring practice? How much time do you really get off as a collegiate athlete, especially a football player? Just paint the picture for us.
Yeah, well, of course, when you try to paint that picture, you have to say that you get a chance for most of the college players to get a little time off. So they go from having such a regimen schedule during the fall to seeming like they can't really be a regular college student because, every minute, every hour of the day is accounted for. But I think with the spring, it gives them an opportunity to relax, obviously jump into the weight room and get fit again and get their conditioning back up. But it's one of those things that it becomes a little bit scary also because it's sometimes the chopping blocks happen during that time as well, and you have new
Mm.
coaches coming in, coaches going out. But I think it's a lot different, of course, now because of the transfer portal, and it gives the advantage to the college kids these days as an athlete. But when I think back to when I was in school, right, and I'm dating myself, right. But I remember when I was coming into school and coming out of high school, and of course it wasn't during the spring, but coming in and there was this switch of coaches. And we had at the time that I was recruited by David McWilliams, which was one of the oldest coaches at that particular time that was at the University of Texas. And then Bobby Jack Wright was there as well, who recruited me and came down to San Antonio, Texas. Well, what I didn't know is that when I got ready to get ready to go into the fall season, we had a new head coach. David McWilliams is out, John Makovic is in, and I'm like, man, I don't even know this coach. I don't know the running back coach. No one recruited me. And it's like, as a college student, you can just imagine as a college athlete, it's very tough, in terms of thinking like, not only do I got to compete on the field, but now I got to compete for this coach's attention because he didn't recruit me at all, and
Mhm.
what is it going to take for me to stand out or to look different? Is it going to be me being a student of the game or showing up to play, watch film, or is it going to be me showing out in the weight room? But of course, I think is a very crucial time for student athletes now. They have the transfer portal, so it almost evens it up. It gives kids an opportunity to, hey, if the coach is there that you don't like or you don't know, obviously you can
Mhm.
jump on the portal. But they've reduced that time also when it comes to the number of times that you can get in that transfer portal. So they kind of controlled it a little bit and not allowing too much more time for them to jump in it. But it's one of those things that becomes very scary for a college player, especially when you say, hey, I waited through the fall. Either I played, I got redshirted, or I'm ready
Mhm.
to, get a chance to be one of the starters. And then you got this conflict of interest when you got these coaches and universities playing, what's business first and, we'll play football second.
All right, Priest. At the time of this recording, less than 24 hours ago, the Texas Longhorns brought in yet another coach. They've had a lot of offseason changes. They brought in a new running back coach, and now they've brought in former SEC head coach Mark Stoops, former head coach at Kentucky. He was there for quite a bit, over a decade. And here it is, more regime change. Now you have the same head coach, but we're diving into now the positional stuff. And like you mentioned, if you don't like a coach or maybe you don't hit it off right away, they come in, they introduce yourself, and the vibes just aren't there. Priest, if you were playing today, would you immediately look at that transfer window, despite your love of the University of Texas, playing there, knowing what you're getting there? You're like, man, I'm already set up and good to go. I got my dorm room. I got my friends. I got my fake ID. They know me down on 6th Street. Like, what's going on in your head?
But yeah, well, Mark, I bleed burnt orange, so it's going to be pretty tough to you pull me up out of the, University of Texas. But with the portal, that brings in options and it gives the advantage to the players or student athletes to have a choice, to kind of determine what their future is going to look like, and to not be all in the hand of the university or your coach referring you out. It's tough, and I think that would I jump in the portal? I think I would, especially because if it gave me an opportunity to advance, financially, I think that comes into
Mhm.
question, with the student athlete these days, whereas when I was playing ball, we just wanted to get some free rental car keys passed around or, some groceries show up at our
Yeah.
doorstep, you know what I mean? Maybe a case of Gatorade,
Got a free yogurt today.
yeah,
Priest, we
we,
did it.
yes, exactly. So, I think money has changed the game, and I think kids see the
Yeah.
branding aspect of it, and so I think that is at the top of the charts of kids when they're making some of these decisions. But also, you can't forget about the game of football, and all kids and all student athletes want a chance to compete and compete at the highest level. So that's where the portal comes into play, is where you may get an opportunity here at another school. You may have more an advantage. You may have a coach that now is recruiting you and looking at you as a valuable aspect or component to the team. And so it becomes tough. And then, even when I think about Stoops, he's had his background as a defensive cornerback coach and also as a defensive coordinator. I just think that he's going to be obviously invaluable to the team as well, because he's going to bring a certain aspect and eyes to the game that I think is definitely going to be able to help the head coach in Sarkeesian.
Yeah, and if you recognize that name, Stoops, it's because you do. It's a brother of Bob Stoops. It's a coaching tree within the family, man. Gotta love that. I think that's going to be a plus for Texas. I really do.
Breaking news from Bet365. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. Win or lose. Sign up, place a bet for $5 and get $150 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, player props, futures, and so much more.
Hey, do you have a gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. Or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 21 plus only, 18 plus in Kentucky. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, and select parishes in Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. $10 minimum deposit required. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only.
This has been a Playmaker production.